Basically, when you train your model, so what is the kernels and what is the assume kernels, right? Basically, we try to understand in real world data set, many type of data came and then different situations as well. For example, let's we have data set, and that spoiler totally over collapse basically, right? So in that case, when you draw a hyperplane and a hyperplane and marginal plane, right? So our points are collapsing each other. So in that particular case, where model, when you draw our model, so accuracy are reduced too much. Basically, so accuracy are too much less, right? So in that particular case, what you will do, we need to apply some kernels. So in kernels, what they are doing and what how they work. So understanding that concept and reducing in accuracy. So basically, kernels are some topic that we have transformation of data. Okay, okay. So basically, when you talk about the kernels are a transformation, right? Kernel is nothing but a transformation. Okay, kernel is basically a transformation. So when you have data points, that's the data points, and that's a point. Okay, and that's a data point something like that, right? Different data point, and other points are of that type. Okay, that's your data point. So how we can draw hyperplane and marginal plane in that particular case? We draw a simple hyperplane, but what about that data? So in that case, we simply transform data into 2D. Okay, we simply transfer data to 2D, and this data are look like something that. Okay, this data are convert something like that. Okay, so this data are convert into that shape. Okay, convert into that shape, and we simply draw hyperplane and hyperplane with a marginal plane, and we simply calculate that. Then we simply train our model, and that accuracy also increases, right? But in that case, you can't draw hyperplane, marginal plane, and then accuracy also when you draw, so accuracy as well decreases. But in that particular case, when you transfer your data, so accuracy are increases. Okay, so there are many kernels, but basically how this transformation are work. So basically this let's consider this y. So y is a convert into x square, right? That's conversions are happening when you convert the data using the kernel. So in SPM there are some kernels. Okay, so we understand some type of kernel. There are one is a linear linear. You learn about the linear regression. So when your data is split, something like when your data are split, something like that. So that particular case you use simply linear kernel, right? And polynomial kernel basically is a polynomial. When you understand the example of polynomial kernel, so this is a example of polynomial kernel, right? There are data are split in different ways. This is basically binary class, and data are collapse or basically in between something like that. So in that particular place, you just use the polynomial kernel. When we perform hyper practical institution, we understand all the concept how this work and how to play with the different kernels using the grid search CV or randomized search CV, we will understand in another video, right? And one more kernel is the third one. So third one kernel is the RBF kernel, right? And one more is the sigmoid kernel. Sigmoid kernel. That's a different type of kernel, and I hope how the data transform and why that kernel are useful. So this understanding with the next video.